Hey y'all, let's talk population ecology. So you should have already downloaded these notes. If you haven't, do so. So we are going to talk about what factors contribute to changes in populations. So populations grow, populations decrease, and populations sort of stay the same. They do kind of this motion. So what are the things that would make a population grow? Think about it. Things are born, okay? Things are hatched, so they come into the population. Things immigrate, move into the area. That is going to cause the population to grow. Things that are going to cause a population to decrease. Things die. If you live, you die. Also, things move out of an area. Those will cause your population to decrease. So we are going to talk about two different population curves. We are going to talk about exponential growth, and we are going to talk about logistic growth. So exponential growth, you probably are pretty familiar with right now, because if you've been paying attention to the news, we've all seen the graphs of the coronavirus where it's like whoosh, right? That's exponential growth. So what happens is that you have ideal conditions and you have unlimited resources, and the population just keeps growing and growing and growing. And what you have here, we have two examples of a bacteria population which often demonstrates exponential growth. Think about it. So what's happening here in this graph, you start with a pretty small population. So let's say you started with 1,000 bacteria, and there's unlimited resources, and they all reproduce. That's 2,000 bacteria. And then they all reproduce. That's 4,000 bacteria. And they all reproduce. It's 8,000 bacteria. Pretty quickly, you have these massive populations. And that can be a problem. But typically, this does not happen in nature because resources don't go on forever. So even the coronavirus, the worst case scenario, viruses need hosts. So if you run out of hosts, you're going to run out of virus. But we certainly do not want to wait for that to happen. Okay, so the much more realistic population growth model is going to be logistic growth. And to start, logistic growth starts with exponential growth. So picture a very small population, and there aren't predators, and there are unlimited resources. And so you've got a small population that can grow really quickly because there's plenty of food and shelter and water and all the things that you need to do that. Phase two, notice that the curve starts to flatten. Okay, so when it starts to flatten out here, this is happening because the growth is slower, still increasing, but it's slowing down because resources are being used up. Okay, so think about it like when you're in the cafeteria. If you're the first person in the cafeteria, you've got all the pick of all the food that you want. But if you're unlucky enough to have the last lunch at the end of the day, the food is gone almost, right? And the choices, there's less choices. And if there are 100 of you in the cafeteria, you're all kind of fighting for the food that you want, right? And then you get to phase three. This is carrying capacity, and you had a lab on this, and this is an important concept. Look for this up and down motion. It's like a roller coaster, okay? So it's going to do one of these. All right, and what's happening there is that this is when you're competing for resources, and not everybody gets them. So some are going to die, and then there's going to be more resources, so more are going to live or be born. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so on most state testing or any kind of test, you are going to have the wolf and the moose, the wolf and the deer, or the lynx, which is a cat, and a hare, which is a bunny. So it's the same graph, basically, with those scenarios. So let's look at this moose-wolf scenario. What is happening here? So this is showing you something, populations that have carrying capacity. And this is a predator-prey relationship. So let's go through it. Okay, so to start with, let's say you have a moose population, and it's growing, and there's not a lot of wolves in the area. But the wolves get savvy to the fact that there are some moose around, and moose are yummy. So wolves are going to eat the moose, okay? And as the wolves eat the moose, there is going to be less moose because they've been eaten. And eventually, there's going to be fewer moose, and that is going to cause some of the wolves to starve. And so the wolf population numbers are going to start to go down because there's not enough food for them. Okay? And once the wolf numbers go down, the moose population is going to go up. Why? Because there are less wolves to eat them. And then that's going to just keep on happening. Now, take a look here. We've got an interesting thing happening here with the wolves, and we have an interesting thing happening here with the moose. So life throws surprises at you, okay? So CPV, that is a virus that attacks canines like wolves. And so in this year, the wolf population crashed because there was a disease. So if it goes down rapidly and drastically, you are going to then see an increase in the moose population because there's no wolves, basically. But the same thing happens here. What happens eventually? Right here, you see that the moose population dropped incredibly over a very short period of time. My guess would be they either ate up all the food, or perhaps there was a major storm event, or maybe there was a major disease. But this is a really significant drop. And then it's going to take some time for that natural up and down predator-prey relationship to come back together. Okay, but carrying capacity is the maximum number of species that the environment can support. And when you talk about environment, yes, you can talk about the abiotic factors like storm events and water, sunshine for plants, but you can also talk about biotic factors, things like predator-prey relationships, right? So there was a video also under ecology that I hope this helps.